Hi, this is Michael from the Weirder Hings podcast. You're listening to us on the Paranormal UK radio network, so sit back and enjoy the show.
Well, hello there, lovely people all around the world, and here. You're listening to Stranger Hings podcast with me, myself, Innes Smith.
No, we're not.
Weirder Hings.
There we go.
Oh, f***'s sake, man. Right, so we start again, then, eh?
Just leave it in.
Is this how far we've fallen?
Yeah.
All right then. Welcome to Weirder Hings podcast on the Paranormal UK radio network. So my name is Innes Smith, and you are...
I'm Michael McCann.
The voice of correction.
Yeah.
There. We are pumping out from the Paranormal UK radio, that's paukradio.com, right into your orifices. And you can also find us on Twitter, Weirder Podcast. And if you want to email us, get in touch. It's weirderthingspodcast@gmail.com. We do love your emails. Do write in. We'll really enjoy that. That's Weirder Things, that's with a T now, we're just being difficult, podcast@gmail.com. Well, after that pumping high energy introduction, we're going to talk about stone circles today. But first, and now, the paranormal news with Mr. Michael McCann.
Thanks very much. We've not done one of these in a wee while. So I thought, because there's not really been much paranormal news.
Everything's normal now.
Everything's completely normal.
Yeah.
So I found some paranormal news, Scotland, related to Scotland, so I thought I would share it.
Okay.
So,
I'm doubly interested now.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Overton Bridge?
I am, yes.
Right, so Overton Bridge is a bridge in Dumbarton in the west of Scotland, not far from Glasgow, which is famous for dogs committing suicide.
Yeah, one might even say infamous.
Infamous, yeah. So people are out walking their dogs, they're walking across the bridge, and their dog decides enough is enough, and it jumps off the bridge and kills itself. This has happened a couple of times.
Yeah, I think more than a couple.
Yeah, it's been happening since the 50s apparently.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But a local pastor has discovered what is causing it.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, he says there's minks.
Right.
The small furry animal, they operate in the area. It drives the dogs insane.
Right.
Not insane literally, but they smell it and they go a bit nuts for it, and in their excitement they leap off the bridges, and that's been proved to be correct.
Right. This was just for sort of some context. That was certainly put forward or proposed as a theory quite a few years ago. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely up there. But as to the pastor proving it, how did the pastor prove it?
They researched it for 11 years and something happened, and then they discovered, that is what was causing it.
The pastor himself was walking across the bridge one day and he thought, what is that delicious smell? And then he himself ran off the bridge. Yeah, I think that was always it. It's one of those... for some context, there's Overton House, isn't there? Yeah,
well, he stays there. He's bought that house and he stays there now.
Oh, really? Does he?
Yeah.
So it's quite a sort of a stately home kind of thing. It's quite an impressive house, and the bridge is a stone bridge, and it's got quite a low wall. The wall's maybe about, I don't know, maybe 1 foot high or 2 foot high. It's not. It's. But the funny old thing with bridges though, is you walk along a path and the path stays level over the bridge, but the ground underneath it drops quite dramatically. So it's quite a deep gorge that the
Yeah,
bridge
yeah, yeah,
traverses.
yeah.
And from a little doggy's perspective that can't see over the side, the dog presumes and
Yeah.
assumes that the ground level is the same as it's always been.
Yeah, and just boom, right
Yeah.
over.
And you know, there's actually a problem with humans. I can give you a little insight here.
Oh, right, okay.
Knowing as somebody within Glasgow City Council that has responsibility for bridges, is there's a bridge in Glasgow, basically, that is near the Botanic Gardens.
Yes, I know.
And a lot of students, after they've been having a few dry sherries of an evening, and they say, I've had enough, I'm going to go back to my student digs in North Kelvinside,
Yeah.
not Maryhill,
No.
North Kelvinside, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And they can't, suddenly the call of nature, they hear the call of nature, you need the toilet, that's what nature is calling. So what they do is they just jump over the wall and in the Botanic Gardens, but the thing is, they don't realise that the ground is sloping dramatically down towards the River Kelvin underneath, and the amount of students that actually break their legs or have died.
Yeah.
So humans suffer from the same thing as the dogs.
Stupidity.
I'd let you say it, because people have died, Michael.
Yeah.
Dogs have died. But this is it. If you don't, you just think, oh yeah. The thing that especially confuses people is they see treetops.
Yeah.
But they don't realise that the trees get taller.
Yeah.
They might level out at the treetop
yeah.
level, but all that happens is the trees grow up further from lower down.
Yeah.
So the same things happen with dogs and humans. If they can't see the other side of a wall, they think, oh, it must be the same. Oh, I'm not thinking. It must be the same level, and off they go, and they disappear over the other end.
Yeah, it's quite a common people jumping over walls with it.
The SSPR investigated that a few years ago. I wasn't involved. Investigation, I think, was living down south at the moment at that time, and the issue. This is where often psychics confuse things, because if you can bring a psychic into a biscuit factory and they'll go, oh, there's something mysterious here, often, which is why they can.
Didn't I say all crumbs?
They do. They say that. You might confuse the issue. So the problem is every Tom, Dick, and Harry that is allegedly psychic wanders about there and then comes up with some nonsense about why these things are happening. Oh, it's the ghost of this that is summoning the souls below, etc. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, there will be people that won't be convinced by a natural explanation, but it seems rather obvious to anybody once you've actually gone to the bridge and you look and you walk at it, especially if you're to lie on your belly and get dragged along on a skateboard to see it from a dog's point of view. You would just automatically assume, I bet I could just jump over that wall and there'll be grass on the other side, but there's not.
There's a story there, isn't there? That was too specific.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should. Yeah, that's why listeners, I have no legs. That was me.
Just go about on a skateboard.
Yeah. No. So yeah, that's it's an interesting story. A local bit of local colour there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed that. It's good.
Okay,
Mystery solved. To me, it was always mystery solved, though.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean,
well, it's just somebody came out recently and went, yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah.
No, no, proved that. Yeah.
There you go.
So there you go.
And the fact he's a pastor.
He's a pastor.
So there were no. He might have drummed up a good bit of business if he said it was some kind of demonic force.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He just said minx.
Yeah, he did. There's a good quote from. Where did it go? There's a quote from Police Scotland. A spokeswoman for Police Scotland said that the force has not received any calls regarding suicidal dogs. However, she added that she had heard the rumour anecdotally.
That's true. Everyone has. Everyone knows about the weird. Hi man, it's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Even the police have heard that.
Yeah.
Like that one on.
But it does sort of fit into this idea that these fruity theories often fill that vacuum of ignorance.
Yeah.
If something is inexplicable, then you'll just fill it with any old shite.
I mean, if your dog had killed itself, you're not going to phone the police. Like, what? Hello, police, my dog's killed itself.
Yeah.
What do you want them to do?
Counselling.
That's not really their job. Yeah, so there you go. So that's the
Maybe-
mystery solved
hang
of
on,
the suicidal dog bridge.
Hang on. Maybe they could send out a police dog.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
the
counsel you.
canine unit.
Yeah, the canine
Yeah,
unit.
to investigate it.
Maybe they do some counselling on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that jumps off. Got smells of minks.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
You could test that. But yeah, smells. It's a thing, isn't it? I often tell people. This is one of my tedious pseudo-intellectual things I say. Is one of the problems with studying ESP is we're not quite fully aware of the P bit yet.
Right, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
how can you talk about extrasensory perception when we're still not entirely clued up or knowledgeable of the limits, you know, the extension of our actual abilities to perceive and smell, you know. The whole world of stinky smells out there.
Yeah, especially if you're a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
And our ancient lizard brain, it's still there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just think about it, people, they think they're psychic, but all they're doing is they're maybe just smelling. They're smelling people and they're rationalising it as spirits.
Yeah.
Maybe it's vapours
Could be.
from people's bums.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Glade plug in.
Yeah. Right, well, we sorted that all out. It's just smells. So,
Paranormal smells.
have you got any other paranormal news?
I don't. That was that. I saw that and I thought
That'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do. Thank you very much, Michael. So, this week we're going to talk about standing stones. Now, standing stones are stones that stand.
Thanks for that wonderful insight.
and in and of themselves might not be mysterious at all. However, just the mere fact that they come from prehistory, from before a written record.
Like Stonehenge.
Yeah, exactly. We don't fully know or fully understand what they are and what they're about. And yet again, just to tie that into what I said earlier, because there is this mystery attached to them, we can imagine all sorts of things. Now, the thing is modern archaeologists and the world of science, there are a lot of interesting theories and ideas attached to stone circles, and we're going to be talking about them. And Scotland is blessed, very much blessed in the realm of stone circles. We've got loads of them.
Yeah, we do.
We've got wads.
Everybody all over the world knows Stonehenge
Yeah.
and goes there. Well, a lot of people go there, but we have our own fair share here in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to know an amazing fact about Stonehenge?
Go for it.
Is the actual the cromlechs, the big standing stones in Stonehenge, they were actually knocked over and they were put back in the 1920s, and they've got concrete bases. So it's a kind of a reconstruction of Stonehenge. So a lot of people think they're going for the real deal, but they're not. The beauty is in Scotland we still have many stone circles that are still standing.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Stonehenge?
I have not been to Stonehenge.
I have. I've been.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah, it was one of these places I always wanted to go, but I found myself in that neck of the woods. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go. And I done a wee trip to Stonehenge. But I didn't have that. It's not like you go and you're the only person there and the sun's setting and it's very romantic and nice and I can feel something. It was just like any other tourist attraction, just hundreds and hundreds of people being bussed in to stand about in a field looking at them going, and then you walk around them and then you leave. Go to the gift shop. I've got a coaster for a cup from the nearby slate mine. Yeah, it was nice to see them, but it was just like, all right, okay.
Yeah, that's often, I've heard occultists bang on about this sort of thing, that these special and holy places, they do radiate this magnetic power, but during the time of the day especially, and also when lots of other people are around, you're not going to get it.
Yeah, if you went before tourism was a thing, you would maybe experience that, but
yeah,
it's very much commercial. Like everything is just commercial now. So
yeah,
it was pretty cool thing to see. Glad I saw it, and it is in a kind of strange place. I suppose I think the thing that makes it weirder for me, it's really really close to a military base.
Right.
There's like a military base over the other side of the field, so just constantly like these like big army helicopters and stuff like that flying about. and that makes it kind of weird in a kind of weird way.
Well, I'm glad that we've started off talking about Stonehenge, because for an international audience, that will be the stone circle that they immediately think of. But the reason why that is also significant is because it was a case study. And it was a case study of a certain Professor Gerald Hawkins. And Gerald Hawkins wrote a book, a sort of thesis paper in 1965 called Stonehenge. I think it was Decoded. But the reason why it's significant is because obviously people look at stone circles and we just imagine what they could. We imagine some kind of ritual significance to them. The Druids. We make up some kind of. We don't really know what the Druids were doing there, or we don't know much at all about the people that built the stones. But Gerald Hawkins, but there's this sort of assumption, this sort of, maybe you could call it a myth of progress. I mean, I'm getting into sort of Graham Hancock territory here, but the idea that scientific and cultural progress is it's just constant. You know, it's just this steady incline that continues, so that with every century that the human race is around, we just keep getting smarter and being able to do clever and clever things. Whereas it would seem to suggest that it's very much, it's like the stock market, it goes up and it goes down, and mentally, sort of mathematically, our ancient forefathers and mothers were just as smart as ourselves, to the extent that a classic example would be the pyramids, in which we still don't really know how a lot of these stone blocks would have been moved. So it's not, and I don't necessarily attach anything mystical or magical to that, like a lot of mystic fruity people would do. But I would think the takeaway message for that is our ancient forefathers weren't stupid.
Definitely not. No.
So, and Gerald Hawkins came away with it. He said, "Well, what if these stone circles?" Because he had he got his PhD in radio astronomy. So he was an astronomer. So what he did was he said, "Well, what if the stones are astronomically aligned? What if they are in some way sort of tying this sort of connecting bridge between the Earth and the stars?" And sure enough, when you look at Stonehenge, and he put forward the idea that it's actually aligned with the lunar. It was equinox? No, not equinox. It's solstice, the lunar solstice.
Yeah, it's basically a calendar.
Yeah, so basically, he was the guy that first. So he was the first person to put this forward as a theory, and it's now generally accepted.
Yeah.
So all credits to Professor Hawkins. Professor Archie Roy, because he was an astronomer, he was also asked to actually do some calculations. On certain sites as well, and he himself vouched and agreed. I think Archie knew Gerald Hawkins and would have consulted with him.
When I went to Stonehenge, I'm generally not a believer in that. The theories that aliens came down and helped them build it and all that kind of stuff. But when I heard the history of Stonehenge and what they thought it was and how it maybe got there and stuff like that, I did kind of for a moment go, nah, they had help. There's no way, because it's 4,000 years before, so it's 4,000 years BC, I think, Stonehenge.
Yeah, I think it's just about 3,
4,
yeah.
And I think that's a long time. That's a lot. So we're talking about 6,000 years roughly to be able to. They were essentially looking at stars, figuring everything out.
Help from who, though, Michael?
That's the thing. I don't genuinely believe in
the
all
French?
that kind of stuff. Maybe the French, yeah. But when you find it, like, how did it was just the feats, because it didn't have the wheel yet. I don't think. I don't know if the wheel had been invented yet.
Yeah, but they would have had logs that they would have rolled
the stones
probably,
on. That's the thing, but they came from like vast distances and
they
stuff
did,
like that. And
that was the thing.
It's like really, it's a really impressive thing, and the fact they managed to mathematically work out where everything should be and do it kind of perfectly, align it with everything.
Why don't you just listen to what I said, Michael?
Yeah.
They're smart enough to do that.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
exactly. So we probably didn't give them enough credit, because it's like a time thing. Well, it was so long ago, they must have been really stupid. Because how could they be as advanced and as smart as us now? But obviously they were to some degree.
Or they just were.
Yeah.
Just no.
They just never had the tools. That's how they got the tools.
Yeah, there's no weasel words in there. They were just clever people. I think we just have to deal with that. We have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So,
they didn't have pens or paper yet, so you know what I mean. That wasn't a thing yet.
But they didn't need them. They remembered things.
Yeah. They
would look at us as dribbling, mentally deficient people for having to rely on the written word.
Yeah.
Anyway. So we've talked about Stonehenge for the international audience because you'll all have heard of Stonehenge.
Yes.
However, we have lots of stone circles in Scotland, and very important, significant ones. There's loads of them, and we have some very large ones. Certainly in Scotland, there's a stone circle on the Isle of Arran called in Machrie Moor, and basically that's definitely astrologically aligned. Probably the most famous one is the Standing Stones of Callanish.
Yep.
And there's certainly a very big one that's very famous, but there's actually loads of standing stones around that area, as is often the way. Now,
do I know something?
Uh-huh.
I've never seen standing stones in Scotland.
Have you not?
No.
There you go. Well, see, one of the things is we imagine what happened and what went on there, and it's just sort of delightful pagan rituals. So I like to get into that spirit of things and always get my bum out. Basically, at Stone Circle, So I've got my bum out quite a few times at Stone Circles. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I think it's important.
Yeah,
every
time I've been going to go to visit one, that something's happened and I've not quite made it to it.
All right, okay.
So we might be going to Harris,
right?
Because there's ones on Harris.
Uh-huh.
And there was a big, massive storm and the boats were cancelled, so we couldn't go. So we missed that one.
There you go. So what's really interesting about the standing stone, I think, Callanish, is the fact it's basically a large cross. It's a cruciform.
Callanish is the ones on Shetland?
No, Lewis.
Right, so that must have been the ones I was going to see then. Lewis and Harris, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the west coast, sort of North Lewis, so... So yes, it's an absolutely stunning thing, and that's the thing though, it's basically, it predates Christianity, but it uses a symbol which is obviously predates Christianity as well, which is a no-brainer. And it's this large sort of cruciform form with a sort of circle in the middle, and which is would now be known as a Celtic cross.
Yeah.
It's also got a tomb within it, but the tomb actually was built after. So it's interesting that this was obviously built by a culture, and then later on somebody went, oh, that's significant or special, I'll build a tomb within that.
Well, I believe the Celtic cross is originally a Nordic symbol.
Well, I think even that though, I think that it would have been used by the Nordic people, but it used to. I think it's a basically zodiac thing, because what you're doing is you're describing the sort of the sun in the sky, the stars in the sky, and that's basically a cross around a circle. So that's the symbol of the zodiac, which is very ancient. And then if you want to describe the sort of magical principle of as above, so below, then all you do is you extend one of the lines to touch the ground, and then you've immediately got a Celtic cross. So that would be my punt at it. But you're right, it's something we can't. There's no point in being pedantic about it, because it's something which is unprovable. We just have to speculate. It's just educated guesses. So the Callanish stone, they're very impressive. There's loads of other standing stones in Scotland. Another site which is very important in Scotland is Kilmartin, because there are so many standing stones there.
Where's that?
Well, when we talk about standing stones, it's in Argyll, but it's also they have these cup and ring marks.
Right, okay.
That's all over Scotland, which are... they call them cup and rings, but basically cup is it's almost like somebody's sort of ground out a little sort of invert bowl shape, and then obviously drawn circles around it. So there's and the wonderful thing about all these things is we just don't know what they meant, but we can guess. There's the idea that the cup and ring marks might be related to either the stars above, people trying to draw the stars above on the ground, some sort of trip, they were tripping, and because people see those sort of lights and things like that, they would be trying to recreate that on the ground. And then, of course, then we move on to all the standing stones. In the north of Scotland, we have the Picts. Now, this is a sort of a time of prehistory in Scotland. The Picts are called the Picts because that's what the Romans called the people that lived up here. And obviously Picts just means people that, they drew themselves, were tattooed, basically.
Blue.
A tattooed people.
So the reason William Wallace's face is blue in Braveheart comes from that. Because William Wallace's face wouldn't have been painted blue.
Wood and all that kind of thing. But the Picts themselves were quite a significant culture, and if you certainly look at the amount of standing stones in Scotland, certainly like in Orkney and Shetland, there's loads up there. Yeah, absolutely loads up there. And the Picts themselves, their capital was Burghead, which was on the Morayshire coast, and it's quite a small village now, but it was it really was significant. It used to appear on the map of the ancient world. So like the ancient Greeks used to have this is all the hip happening places in the world, and it actually the Greeks knew that the capital of the Picts was
Pictland.
Pictland was Burghead, which is bizarre. But yeah, so it just shows you that these political sort of kingdoms, etc. These powers, they rise, they fall, they rise, they fall. And the thing with the Picts is the Picts were still kind of going until they were essentially intermarried. There's lots of rumours in Scotland about what happened to the Picts. Almost akin to there must have been like the fairies, etc. But they were like everything else. They would have just intermarried. And this is the thing: is the first, generally regarded as the first king of Scotland, was Kenneth MacAlpin, which I love because it sounds like somebody that could be walking about today.
Yeah, brilliant name. Kenny
MacAlpin, right? Aye. So Kenny MacAlpin was the first king of Scotland, and this is going back to, I'm going to pluck a date out of my head and hope I'm right, 824 AD, something like that.
Yeah,
it's something like that. Anyway,
it's not. Yeah.
See if it is that, I'm be amazed, right? But it's basically, I'm almost tempted to Google it right now. But anyway, so basically the 9th century, and his grandmother was Pictish, so he brought the lineages together. He brought the Scots and also the Picts together. So it would have just been intermarriage. But the wonderful thing about the Picts was not only did they draw themselves, but they did these extraordinary stone carvings. So if you want to look at if you want to go online and have a look at anything, then there's just fantastic amount of stone carving, and the wonderful thing as well is that there's a sort of a crossover between their ancient pagan ways and Christianity. So you start to get this sort of hybrid culture of their artwork interlinking with Christian symbolism. But the wonderful thing about the Picts is they have so many symbols that we don't really know what they mean, and this it's almost like there might be clans, but you've got this. There's this sort of like these different symbols. I've got this. There's a historian called Stuart McHardy, and he writes quite a lot about this, and he's got his own ideas of what these Pictish symbols are.
What year did you say?
824.
Is that for what?
For Kenneth MacAlpin becoming crowned of.
I don't think so. I think he was born in 810.
So he was 14 if that was true.
Yeah.
So when did he become king of Scotland?
He died in 858. 834. Oh, you were so close.
834, 24.
Yeah.
Off by a decade. There you go. Anyway, so there's this. So if you look at Pictish art, and this is your best bet, the sort of shapes like it could be a brooch shape. It's like a crescent moon, and this sort of a V shape. So that could be a brooch. could be a moon, it could be sort of a moon sort of brooch.
A lot of these symbols are kind of used in Wiccan symbolism as well.
Yeah, and there's also these sort of two. Could be a pair of cartoon eyes, could be a brassiere, but there's sort of two two disc shapes connected in between. So yes, there's lots of interesting things that we don't really know. We don't really know what these symbols mean, so people can speculate as much as they like about it. So that's the nice thing. However, let's get back to the sort of more paranormal meat and veg thing.
Yeah.
Because what is interesting, and I have tried to search, but I could not find. This is the problem when you read so many books, you lose track of where you heard these things. But I do believe there's a very popular series of fantasy novels and a television series called Outlander.
Oh, there we go. Outlander
Right.
for Outlander watchers.
And of course, all of that sort of springs from some time travelling. Hot time travelling action from Standing Stones. So there's this idea that there is something mystical and weird and odd about Standing Stones. Now the question would be: is that based on anything? Mm-hmm. Is that just like folklore, the myth that there's something magical or weird about Standing Stones, or is there any at least anecdotal evidence? Are there any other people out there that have had odd experiences at Standing Stones? And the answer is, of course, what's the answer, Michael?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Yes. So I'm going to tell you what I can remember off a few things. So the first big one is, here goes, right. I cannot remember.
You have to a really good start.
But I can't remember any names or dates, right? This is the problem. But there was a man. How about this?
There was a man, that's... okay, we can go with that, okay.
Who was out either...
Side.
Out for a walk in Standing Stones, and then basically...
Right.
I experienced a time slip.
Where was this?
I think it was England somewhere, so I can't say it was Scotland, but I think it was England somewhere. And what happened was they actually saw... What was it they saw? Good God. I think they saw some kind of ritual take place.
Right, okay.
Some kind of ritual take place. And they went through the initial kind of rationalising, thinking, is this like some actors or some dramatic? But then they quickly realised, no, this is real and this is weird. And of course the other thing is when it finished, you just went weak, and there was nothing there. So there is this precedent for people having sort of time slip kind of experiences in Standing Stones,
which is basically the plot to Outlander.
That's it. So and maybe that author got that. Maybe
could be.
Maybe they were better at finding the roots of that story than I was. The other thing I think is quite interesting about Standing Stones is the very odd experiences that I've got. Two ones which are kind of little exclusives. I like to do this because it's just all.
This is just for us.
Yeah, it's just if it's just regurgitating.
You won't read this in a book.
Exactly. It's just regurgitating stuff in books, and they said, well, there you go. You can just go and read. We could just sit here and tell people to read different books.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, but no,
because we're not sponsored by Amazon. We're not going to do that.
Not going to do
or
that.
Audible.
Yeah.
But if Audible and Amazon want to give us some money,
that's it.
They can do that.
Please do so. Anyway, so and this is accounts given to me by friends.
Oh.
Now.
Oh, right. Okay.
So one is a family day trip. And it's also to Standing Stones. Now, I don't know whether there might be the Rollright Stones in Oxford. I used to live, funnily enough, in Oxford years ago. I did. There you go. And I knew the reputation that the Rollright Stones had. They're meant to be throbbingly mystic, right?
I was going to go to Oxford recently. I hear it's nice. Is it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's very much town and gown, Oxford.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's got that kind of schizoid split between. You've got right, I'm from Oxford, yeah.
Yeah.
Want to get hammered in cider, right? And then it's old people called Toby. Hello.
Which one were you?
Well, I was there with a Toby.
Oh, were you there with a Toby?
Or a Tobette.
A Tobette, oh, right,
Tobetta.
okay.
I was there with a Tobetta.
Right, okay.
I was a bit rough. I was stupid bit rough.
Right, okay.
There, basically, so. Anyway, so that was Oxford, but I knew that Oxford, the Rollright Stones were quite nearby, and I knew they had the reputation, but I never managed to get there. It was a wee shame.
Right.
Oh. So, aye, that's
Too busy with too better.
that's it. Yeah, I used to work in Habitat and also HMV in Oxford.
There you go.
That's it. Aye, so Rollright Stones, don't know whether it was that, but we would have been somewhere near.
Well, when's Habitat again? That's the one that sells the crystals and that kind of stuff, innit?
That just shows how young you are. Habitat's a sort of a home furniture.
Oh no,
lifestyle.
wait, yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, there used to be one in Argyle Street.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not sure.
yeah, I remember it.
So this family, they went on their day trip there, and so 3 brothers, and Mum was certainly there because Mum took the photographs,
Right.
and who knows if Dad was there. Well, didn't even mention. If he was there, he would have just been like an extra in the background.
Right, okay.
But the whole point was that they went to the Standing Stones. They went in the Standing Stones, and they just had a really odd experience in as much that they all started they were like, stand the Standing Stones and let's take some photographs.
Right.
And they were taking photographs, and the boys just ended up fighting. They just ended up fighting, and they had no. And afterwards, when they were thinking about it, they had no idea or reason or rationale why they started to fight.
Right.
They didn't know. It came out of nowhere.
What age were they?
I think they were teenagers.
Right.
And when they looked at the photographs,
Yeah.
they said they all had the craziest of faces that they never remembered making.
Right.
So the way the story is told, it's almost like they were kind of
Possessed.
basically. They all started acting in the weirdest of ways, and just started fighting each other, and the photographs themselves were really, really odd. The other stories from a friend that it was also another photograph. Now, I haven't seen this photograph, but I can only vouch on the credibility of the person. So
Right,
I
okay,
don't think this person is making it up. It would be nice if they found this photograph. But they got a photograph of themselves. Now, this is interesting as a photographer. Worked this one out. She stood in the middle of a standing stone, got a photograph taken, and then when the photograph got developed for it was back in the day,
Yeah.
of film photography. Kids, do you know what? You used to have to take a photograph. It would go into a magic bit of shiny black toilet paper. You'd have to keep it away from the light, and you'd have to give it to somebody. Somebody would turn it into actual photographs, and they give it back to you. And that might take like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Week to 10 days.
Yeah, can you imagine that, boys and girls? That's what film photography used to be like. So anyway, when the
I still dabble in a wee bit of film photography, so
do I. Much, but it's just the more satisfying thing.
yeah, much more.
Yeah. So, photograph taken, got the photograph back, and this person was split into two, so that from the waist down, their legs were standing one place, and from their waist up, their torso was completely separated and moved over to the side, and none of the other photograph was distorted. So not one other part of the photograph was distorted. So if you had cut the photograph in half and moved it along, you'd expect everything else to move along with it.
Right.
But that didn't happen. It was only the person's image that was cut in half and moved along to the side, and everything else in the background, all the standing stones, looked perfectly normal.
Right, okay.
So
it would need to be, the only way, it would need to be a double exposure, but what you're explaining, it couldn't be a double exposure, because if you cut it and moved it, then everything would align,
else
but
would
it didn't.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting.
It is,
I'd like to see that.
Exactly. So would I. So that's an interesting story. Now, the other... so that's some cheeky wee kind of exclusives there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. The other wee exclusive we'll just throw in is an occultist from Germany once stayed with a friend, and...
A friend you know, or
a friend I know.
Right, okay, so it's still an antidote.
Yes, it's an antidote. It's one of those antidotes. Yeah. So it's so sort of anecdotal evidence, and basically, so this friend is very hospitable and communicates with many people around the world that are interested in mystical things. This occultist from Germany was very much interested in experiencing some of the hot hot mystic stone action that happens in Scotland.
Yeah.
So this person was like, well, I really want to go to Kilmartin, the stones from Kilmartin, because there's actually some there's lots of stones in Kilmartin, and there's also some chambered cairns. And so this friend basically said, yeah, on you go, I'll help you get there. And he said, well, I want to sort of stay the night and have a mystic experience. And he was like, all right, okay, well, knock yourself out. So my friend facilitated this. And according to this German occultist, they had the most mystic experience they've had in their life.
Okay,
so
right,
it was
fair enough.
throbbingly weird, basically.
What happened?
As I can say nothing more. That's as much as I know.
Oh, that's all you know.
That's all I know, is that I know it's somewhat disappointing, but basically that's all it really. That's all I know, other than somebody basically rated it really, really highly in a weird way.
Right, okay.
There's also
where is this, Kilmartin? Is that
Kilmartin, Argyll?
Argyll, right? Okay. That's a really lovely part of Scotland. My friend used to work in a marina a way out, and you had to go like a right away. Like you couldn't. It's actually quite close to Glasgow, but you can't get to it from Glasgow. You need to like drive for like 6 hours to get there.
Is that Tinnebrew, maybe?
No, it's Portavadie. And we used to drive up there, but it was like they call it was it Scotland's secret land or something like that. I can't remember what they call it, but it's like it's really beautiful. It's quite untouched. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, because I mean,
because in the 70s they built what happened was they were looking for oil out on the west coast of Scotland, and they hit the mother lode. Like they found a lot of oil off the west coast of Scotland, and they were going to start drilling for it. So they built a community for all the workers, houses and stuff like that. And then at the last minute, it all got pulled. So when you're up there, there's all these abandoned villages and houses and stuff like that for these workers. They pulled it all down very recently. But at the last independence thing we had in Scotland, and we were going to go independent from the rest of Britain. One of the reason the SNP and stuff like that are desperate to get rid of Faslane, is because the reason they can't dig for or drill for oil and have oil tankers and all that kind of stuff out on the west coast of Scotland is because that's where the nuclear submarines operate.
Yeah. So
it would interfere with the submarines.
Yeah.
So basically, if we Scotland got rid of Faslane, we would have
twice as much
oil as we have, and we're not allowed to get it because it interferes with the nuclear submarines.
Yeah. So
that's why they're really actually so desperate to get rid of the nuclear submarines, not because it's nuclear weapons are bad. In that case, it's because Scotland would be a very wealthy nation, and must been stopped for doing that for the submarines.
Well, I beg to differ. I think there are plenty of anti-nuclear people that are against it purely because.
Yeah, obviously, but I mean, governmentally.
Let's just say there's also a bit of a Brucey bonus.
Yeah.
But
we're just not being told that because.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So there you go.
So the thing
that's a Weirder Hings exclusive.
There you go. So Kilmartin Glen, there's basically about 350 ancient monuments within basically a 6-mile radius of the village. So that's how many. So if you want to go and see an awful lot at once, then Kilmartin's a good place to go.
That is a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. So, and the good thing about Kilmartin as well is a lot of different sorts of stones. So you have stone circles, you've got chambered cairns, you've got cysts, and you've got all these cup and ring marks on the stones.
I might go and check them out sometime.
There you go. We day trip.
Because hundreds and thousands of people a day traipse around Stonehenge. Yeah, Scotland's got loads more, and
Loads more.
they're kind of unknown, really.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm just pulling stuff out of my ass here now, right? But one of the interesting things, I think Colin Wilson, I'm sure that it was Colin Wilson that wrote about this, and I've got his book, The Occult. So whether it's in that book or one of his other books, I can't remember. I could not for the life of me find it. However, it's the amount of whether or not you want to put any credence into this, right? Mm-hmm. It's your shout entirely. But there have been there's a sort of tradition of psychic archaeology in which psychics kind of remote view the past, as it were. Mm-hmm. And so this is what this is kind of your ad hoc pulling out of a psychic's ass their understanding of what happened and what was going on. And this is what I found interesting with the account of the people being violent and punching each other and all that kind of stuff, is the idea is that the theory goes, so that a lot of the stone circles were built 4,000, 3,000 years ago, right? And they were built by kind of sun worshipping groovy hippie dudes, right?
Yeah.
They were all about, beautiful stuff and peace and love.
Peace, yeah.
Yeah. However, that civilization kind of fell apart, and there was a sort of a wee mini sort of dark ages in which things got a wee bit darker and nastier and more violent. And the people and essentially the idea is that these stone circles, they're essentially and what is interesting, there's a writer also, if you want to check him out, Paul Devereaux, and he does a lovely little map for you in one of his books, and he compares the sites where you find stone circles being built in the British Isles. Mm-hmm. You compare that to UFO sightings and also areas of geological stress,
right?
And they all tie up.
See, that was going to be the next question, or the next thing I wanted to talk about was standing stones and UFOs.
Yeah.
What do we know about those? Because it seems to be a lot of people tie those two things together.
And that's the link. The link is that that they all seem to correlate. If you correlate where there are sites of geological stress, where there are stone circles, and where there are sort of sightings of unusual lights, etc. Mm-hmm. So the idea would be is that the geology underneath the ground creates this unusual magnetic fields that under some circumstances can alter people's states of consciousness, or if you want to push it that far, create a film of a strange thin layer between dimensions. Okay.
Right, okay.
And
what accent was that?
That was my bollocks accent. Talking bollocks. Yeah, that was my bollocks accent. Yes, I'm going to talk bollocks now. So yeah, so there's that idea, and one of the interesting observations or things is how much crystal is actually in the rock, because it has been pointed out, it has been noticed by geologists or historians that people don't just fling up stone circle. Is the stones and it's the design or what they look like is important. It's often what the stones are made of, and sometimes this is incredibly important, especially for example in Stonehenge, is some of the stones were actually taken all the way from Wales. Yeah. So this
massive.
Yeah. So this was an awful lot of hassle.
Yeah,
right?
That's what we should point at as well. The stones at Stonehenge are big. Everybody knows what they look like. So they're big, thick, massive boulders, but the ones in Scotland tend to be a bit skinnier, they're a bit jaggier, they don't look the same, they're a bit they're not usually as big either.
But this is the thing, is we have a lot of sandstone in Scotland.
Yeah.
And the thing about sandstone is we have actually quartz rich sandstone. And this seems to be the issue, is that quartz itself this is the theory. The theory is if this sort of piezoelectric, these sort of fields basically. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that the land itself generates this weird mystic electromagnetism that either facilitates altered state of consciousness or makes the walls between the dimensions thin. Right. So or both. And so the ancients had this knowledge of plugging in these rocks like the analogy would be just like pins in a plug socket, an electrical socket.
Right.
And by people spending time there or touching these rocks, etc., then they might have a better chance of having a mystic experience.
So what stone circles have you visited?
I've visited. I didn't visit Stonehenge, but I actually visited some pretty amazing ones in Somerset.
Right. Okay.
Cannot for the life of you.
And in Scotland, though.
Yes, I've visited. There's a lot. The thing is, there used to be a lot more. This is one thing.
Yeah.
There used to be a lot more standing stones. It's just that a lot of farmers trashed them. A lot of people broke them up.
Throughout history, they didn't know what they were, so they just knocked them down.
Or because they were associated with pre-Christian times, had no respect for them and just got rid of them.
Apparently, and I don't know if this is true, but George Square in Glasgow, which is the very centre of Glasgow, apparently there was stone circles there.
Right.
And again, they just came along and what's that? And just knocked it down.
Yeah. See, I would beg to differ. I would say that it's not necessarily what is that, it's just like they don't care about it. They know
there's maybe so many of them that just like they won't get into these ones because
might know what they are. And then there are still important carved stones being found, and it's typically when they might actually either dig up a road or rebuild a wall, and they realise that one of the big stones in the wall was actually had
because there's Sight Hill, there's ones in Sight Hill, isn't there?
But the ones in Sight Hill are that's another thing. That's actually a modern stone circle.
Right. Okay.
So that.
But was there eventually a real one there?
That's
right. That was a work of art by somebody, wasn't it, in the 70s?
That was David Lunan, and that was built towards the end of the 70s.
Yeah, and they wanted to get rid of it recently, but they says no, we're keeping this.
It was It was like 1 or 2 stones away from completion when they pulled the plug on it.
Really?
But it's actually astronomically aligned as well.
Right. It's still there though, isn't it?
Yeah. So anybody with sufficient knowledge of astronomy in the future. Mm-hmm. So everything else has disappeared, they'll be able to date when the stone was built.
Right.
Because the way that the stones are aligned, they're aligned with a particular star. He just basically the David Lunan, who's the astrologer, basically just.
And his second name was Lunan as well. That's
Lunan.
good. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's a career choice, isn't it? Yeah. We had no choice. So that was a modern one. And people do build actually modern stone circles.
Mm-hmm.
There are people out there who do that. But anyway, what I was trying to just tie together these mystic thoughts, whether or not you want to put any credence in them, but the idea was that if you imagine these stone circles being like electrical sockets for having a mystic or religious experience, and they originally were built by just sun-loving hippies, is that they were used to harness darker energies by a more sort of debased, more basically goths, just a bunch of goths. Yeah. They got involved.
Right.
Yeah.
The Visigoths. No, something else.
No, not the actual goths, but basically, yeah, some rather darker types. Mm-hmm. Basically, used and abused, and started to do things like blood sacrifices, and we used to. Whip themselves up into a frenzy. This idea of extreme emotion being used to tap in or harness something, and where the previous ones, the extreme emotion would be like love and peace. These guys were all about violence and
okay.
And
so it's like a mirror.
Yeah. So that's why that some people now have an aversion to these stone circles because of the somewhat debased use that they were used by.
Right, so at some point in history, people came along and went, "We're going to use these for bad
things." But this is all just like mystic stuff that's come out of a psychic's bumhole.
Right. Okay.
So whether or not you want to put any, want to think that any of that is true is entirely up to you. But it is interesting that people do have these odd experiences in stone circles. So it's not just Outlander.
Alright, okay. So I'll need to get out and check out some of these, because like I said, I've been to Stonehenge, seen the daddy one, but not actually seen our own, because every time I go, and that in itself is quite interesting, that every time I go to actually visit them, something happens that stops me from getting there.
Well, maybe let's every time I've tried to go to Stone Circle, I can get there, so let's both go together and see what happens.
Yeah. That's quite a good idea. See what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find them really interesting. I enjoy them. I like the idea that there's something about the quartz, the crystals in the stone. It also enhances the whole thing, because also the stone of destiny, the stone of Scone, talking about mystic stones, is the kings of Scotland used to get crowned on this stone, and that it comes from a time in which there were lots of coronation stones. It's just that this one, because of the politics involved, it still remains current, and we know about it. But there used to be there used to be quite a thing. So obviously it goes back to a time in which there was this significance of tying spiritual legitimacy to literally to the land, to the rocks on which people stood or sit. And the interesting thing is the sandstone round about Scone, which is the sort of ancient capital of the Scots in Scotland, which is basically near Perth. If you're looking for it on a map, it's just about a mile outside Perth. It's now basically part of Perth. Yeah,
if you've got Netflix and you recently watched The Outlaw King, with Chris Pine, they take him to Scone Palace, and you see him getting crowned on the...
Yeah, that's it. And basically, and the significant thing with that is the Stone of Destiny that is... the coronation stone is quartz-rich sandstone.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it never came from the Holy Land.
It was from Scotland. Yeah, because that was a legend that it came from the Holy Land, and that's where they think that, but it's not.
Do you know why that is, though?
Why is that?
I'll tell you why that is.
Well, you probably used to protect it when you worked at Edinburgh Castle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I love the story. Well, basically,
it's a brilliant story.
It's basically what happened was when Robert the Bruce became King of Scotland, he wrote a letter to the Pope, and his ambassador to the Vatican, it was a guy called Baldred Bissett, which I love that. I love this guy, right? And basically wrote a list of... He's basically saying, look, because all the time the English were saying, the Scots, they're not even really a people.
Yeah.
They're more like, they're just not even a people. They shouldn't really have a king. We should be in charge of them. So they're always trying to delegitimise Scotland and the Scots. So Robert the Bruce basically wrote a letter saying, no, we're a real people, we're a real king, don't listen to them, and we're really important, and we've got this and we've got that, and we used to have this and we used to have that, and also can we have our stone back, basically. Right, so picture the scene, a little comedy sketch, right? So Robert the Bruce has written a letter, right? So you've got this ambassador to the Pope, and he's going, right, and we really want our stone back, right? And the Pope goes, why do you want a stone back? It's the stone in which we crown all our kings. And he goes, right, okay,
get another stone.
So why? So this wouldn't be a pagan stone, would it? And he's like, because I'm only interested in holy relics. That are Christian holy relics. Right. And Baldrick's going, right, he's sweating now, right? He's going, right, now there's only one stone in the Bible. Right. There's only one stone mentioned in the whole of the Bible, and it's the fact that oh God, I'm sorry, is it Jacob? It is Jacob, isn't it? Jacob and Esau, that's right. So Jacob basically rests his head on a stone and uses it as a pillow. So he just pulls that out of his ass and says, yeah, it's that stone. Right, okay. And the Pope goes, all right, fair enough. All right, okay. Right. So yeah, it's not from the Holy Land. It never was from the Holy Land. The whole rumour that it was from the Holy Land was so the Pope didn't say you can't have any of it, because it's not. Okay. I don't care about your pagan artifacts. Yeah. So it's pagan. It's definitely pagan. But they tried to Christianise it. If you look at it, they tried to actually turn it into a reliquary. They tried to carve it out, and you can see that they've actually carved crosses on it as well. Oh right. Yeah. But they actually stopped sort of carving a basin into it because there's a fault in it. Right, yeah, because the students dropped it and halved it in two. So it's now in two pieces. But we'll talk about the Stone of Destiny some other time, because we are all out of time. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a bit rambling, wasn't it? Through these episodes. Maybe,
But yeah,
maybe in the future we'll do an episode from a standing stone.
could do. Right, but this has been Weirder Hings. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye, gang.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening.
No, thank you. And see you later. Bye.